PC Gamer is just wrong. Not only wrong, they're dead wrong about the Microsoft Activision deal. And they published an article, which when I clicked on it, I thought, oh, for sure this is going to be an opinion piece. No big deal. Nope. It's listed under news. And so I retweeted their headline here. I took a screenshot of it and retweeted it and just said, more quality journalism from our unbiased gaming media. Anyways, here's what the tweet says. Microsoft celebrates its conquest. Microsoft is conquesting. They're raping and pillaging. Their conquest of Activision and the triumph of capitalism with the montage video. Triumph of capitalism. So this guy, number one, his premise is clearly anti-capitalist, which is fine. You cannot like capitalism. You're wrong, but you cannot like it. As if making money is against the law or should be against the law. And that's my problem with this article. He assumes and he talks as if all of us should agree with him. Not only that, but he's a little bit of a hypocrite because, bro, you're working for PC Gamer. PC Gamer is one of 220 media companies owned by a parent company called Future PLC. Literally the definition of a mega corporation, which he throws under the bus here. Mega corporations. Your entire job is based on a mega corporation. Your entire job is based on capitalism. So get rid of your anti-capitalist undertones. You can have that view 100%. What kills me, my problem here with this is that it's a gaming journalist, and he assumes that all of us agree with that. He assumes that video games, it comes from a premise of video games would exist in absence of a profit motive. Hey, fun fact, they wouldn't. Most entertainment would not exist if it were not for a profit motive. It's just reality. Is capitalism perfect? Am I going to defend everything from capitalism? No, of course not. Of course not. It's got a lot of things that are wrong. Anytime humans are in charge of stuff, it's going to be imperfect. There's going to be some bad things. There's going to be some really bad things. And indeed, there are some bad things and some really bad things. But all things being equal, it's the best system that we have so far for innovation. It's the best system that we have so far for killer gaming innovation. Like, we are at where we're at right now because of, guess what? Capitalism. So the anti-capitalist undertone in this just really gets to me. And it gets to me because these gaming journalists live in their ivory towers. They've never had a real job for the most part. They've never had to create anything for the most part. There's always going to be outliers who have, but they just write about games. They've went to high school, went to college, started writing. Go create something and see how easy it is to do instead of just critiquing and criticizing and sitting up in your ivory tower. Absolutely kills me. So here is the article right here. Again, you can see news. See in the top left corner right above Microsoft. It's news. This is couched under news. This is not a news piece. This is an opinion piece over at PC Gamer by Andy Chalk. And here's what he has to say. So he describes the trailer. Remember, we watched this trailer on Friday. This was a fantastic trailer that Microsoft put out once the Activision Blizzard acquisition was finalized. It gave me feels. It gave me goosebumps. It's very well done. So he describes it in detail. And here's what he has to say. We're going to skip forward here to the parts I've highlighted. He says it's a lot to take in. It's literally a 2-minute trailer showing off Activision and Microsoft games and some Bethesda games. It's not really a lot to take in. He says, what makes it particularly weird for me, though, is that beneath all the Dom Toretto, shout out to Fast and Furious right there, it's that beneath all the Dom Toretto-esque invocations of family, what's really being celebrated here is the triumph of capitalism, uber alles. You hear that, folks? The triumph of capitalism, uber alles. What does uber alles mean? It means above everything else, right? He tell me he doesn't sit in an ivory tower. Look how smart he is. He used uber alles. Whoa! Blowing me away. Last time I checked, that's how you get killer innovation. That's how you get games. Would we have VR without capitalism? No, we wouldn't. Would we have the Xbox Series X, the PlayStation 5? No, we wouldn't. Right? Go look at the history of gaming and the history of video games. They wouldn't exist without capitalism, without competition, without a profit motive. It's just this premise is so naive. It's the my professors opened my eyes to the world. Did they? Your professors also didn't go build anything. It's so foolish. Anyways, the FTC and CMA both threw a thumbs down on the proposed deal, which will see the world's largest independent video game publisher swallowed whole by a literal trillion-dollar company. And it was only through drawn-down courtroom battles and touch of political pressure the UK's government was openly critical of the CMA's decision to block the deal, while a number of Republican legislators in the US called on the FTC to drop its opposition, that any of this happened at all. He's basically saying that it's the only reason that it happened is because opposing parties that he clearly opposes, the Republican Party and the current party in the UK, who criticized the CMA and the FTC, that's the only reason that this thing went through. Before we comment here, let's continue. My guess is that in the short term, gamers won't notice too much of a difference. Microsoft had to make some promises about not making its big new games Xbox exclusives in order to ram the deal through, and those will no doubt hold, at least for a while. But longer term, who knows? Media consolidation hasn't really worked out super well so far, and frankly, I'm not thrilled about the apparent impotence of regulatory agencies who are supposed to serve as a bulwark against creeping corporatocracy. A feeling that isn't in the slightest relieved by song and dance routines about how swell it is that the gang's finally all together. Is that news, or is that 100% opinion right there? That's 100% opinion. My problem with gaming magazines, my problem with PC Gamer, they think this is news. This is your opinion, bro. Put this under opinion. But back to the trailer. I maintain that it's weird, even when removed from all the capitalism with kill us all subtext. He continues, governing bodies are helpless in the face of zillion-dollar megacorps, and everything is fine. More than fine, it's family. And he's relating back to the, that's him mocking the video where it says, we're all together now. So there's a couple premises here that I think are incorrect. His real premise is that government agencies are neutral. And that's just not correct. Government agencies are not neutral. He wants you to believe that the FTC and the CMA are somehow saints and only looking out for the people, that there's no political influence in there at all, while saying at the same time that the only reason this deal went through is because of political influence. So he doesn't have a problem with political influence. He just has a problem when the political influence goes against his wishes. When it goes with his wishes, i.e. shutting down this deal, then the government body is not being political. It's just doing what it's supposed to do and looking after the people. It's complete naivete and it's completely dishonest. First of all, these governing bodies are often filled with political appointees. Those political appointees on these governing bodies have agendas, period. So they're not neutral. Next, let's talk about lobbying influence. Do you think that these political entities are immune to lobbying? 1,000% no. In fact, him in his own article right here says that the only reason this deal went through is because of lobbying efforts. Next up, let's talk about red tape and bureaucracy. Most government agencies can't even get out of their own way with red tape and bureaucracy, yet you expect them to be able to understand the intricacies of the gaming industry and to make correct decisions? No. No, that's not how it works. These bodies are not perfect. These bodies are not saints. These regulatory bodies, I would argue, aren't even very good at looking out for our best interests. They're not neutral. And his premise here is that they are neutral and that the FTC and the CMA was right in opposing. They just weren't. And if you watch any of their arguments or listen to any of their arguments, you can see 1,000% how flawed they were, that it was completely agenda driven from the beginning. Now let's talk about capitalism, because there's clear anti-capitalist undertones in this article. So Microsoft and Activision did not get where they are today without pushing the boundaries of gaming, without pushing the boundaries of, for instance, World of Warcraft, which took the MMO genre to the next level. They innovated and they're richly rewarded as a result. It's one of the most profitable franchises in history. Activision is one of the most profitable franchises or companies in history because of what it did with Call of Duty. Capitalism innovates. It pushes gaming companies to outdo each other. The reason that we have Game Pass today is because Microsoft is trying to play catch up and compete with PlayStation. Also, Microsoft is still after this acquisition, the third biggest gaming company in the world. It would be different if this put them over the top and they became the biggest gaming company in the world. But they're not, so I don't understand the critique here. Next, capitalism brings us consumer choice. We would not have Xbox if it weren't for capitalism and Microsoft trying to compete in that realm. We wouldn't have Nintendo. We wouldn't have PlayStation. We wouldn't have all of the different variety of games, all the platforms. We wouldn't have handhelds. We wouldn't have mobile phones or mobile phone gaming for that matter if it wasn't for capitalism. Capitalism ultimately brings consumer choices because everybody is vying for your dollar. Everyone's trying to be the best, to bring you a different option, something that you might enjoy, trying to serve you to make that money. Capitalism also serves as investment in gaming, whether it's developers, publishers, creators. You got a really good idea, so you can get someone to invest in you. You can go create your idea. That's what capitalism does. Now, it's high-stake competition, of course, and it's super cutthroat, of course. The business world is, but ultimately, we benefit. Ultimately, this Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal, I believe we're going to benefit from. I believe it's a pathway for not just big AAA developers. I believe it's a pathway forward for independent developers. I think it's going to also incentivize the little guy, help the little guy be on a platform like Game Pass to get eyeballs on their games that they wouldn't otherwise get. And finally, capitalism actually self-regulates itself. That's right. What you say, self-regulation. Don't we need the government to do that? Not really. Think about it. Bad games get bad reviews and nobody buys them. Good games get good reviews and everybody buys them. That's self-regulation. That's the way that capitalism works. Now, is capitalism perfect? 1,000% no. Does it have issues? 1,000% yes, but it's just trade-offs. And I think the best trade-offs exist within capitalism. Indeed, the reason that we have games and gaming and where we're at today is because of capitalism. One more thing here that I want to mention is he says media consolidation hasn't really worked out super well so far. Yet he doesn't name any examples. Like, name some examples, dude. Show me your examples. Why didn't you name any? Point number one. Point number two, guess what? You don't think Nintendo's still going to compete? You don't think PlayStation's still going to compete, who, by the way, is a bigger gaming company than Microsoft? You don't think Tencent's still going to compete? You think they're just going to roll over and let Microsoft dominate? No, of course not. It's competition. Amazon's jumping into the game. Google's jumping into the game. So I fail to see why this particular media consolidation is bad for gaming. But I digress. In a nutshell, this article is just prime example of how biased our gaming journalists are. It's an example of how blinded you can become because of your biasness. It's okay to be against this merger. It's okay to say, hey, there's going to be some problems with this merger. But let's not act like this is the end of the world, because it's just not. Let's also not act like we would have video games or that PC Gamer would even exist without competition, without capitalism. So takes a lot for granted here. All in all, I'm just tired of biased gaming media. Am I biased? Of course I'm biased. I'm an Xbox fanboy and I'm a capitalist. Doesn't get much more biased than that. But guess what I am? I'm straight up with you. And I'm not couching my articles, if I were to write an article, under news, PC Gamer. This is clearly an opinion piece. You should categorize it as one. I would love to know what you guys think. Let me know. Did you think this article was that bad? Did it set you off? Am I wrong? Could I be wrong? Is there a better system for gaming that exists out there? Would we have video games and entertainment in absence of all of the things that I just listed? Let me know in the comments below. I'm sure some of you vehemently disagree with me, and that's okay. But once again, your disagreement is just an opinion, as is this article, which should have been under opinion and not news. If you like what we're doing here, if you like this channel, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. My name is X1 the Gamer. We drop Xbox videos all the time. Have a great rest of your day, guys, and I'll see you next time.